Hello, everybody. Welcome to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey.
Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Unlocking Your Truth is a talk show about metaphysics and spirituality.
It
And
is.
we broadcast every Tuesday on 101.7 FM across the Fraser Valley in British Columbia from the unceded territory of the Stolo Nation, from a radio station called CIVL. But we also, you can catch us on all the major podcasting platforms. And also on my website, drlesliephillips.com. And
All those good places.
yeah, all those good places. Oh, I know what I was going to say. We pre-record the show 1 week in advance. And when we do that, we live stream to my Awaken Your Psychic Abilities Facebook group and also to my YouTube channel. So if you follow us on either of those, then you can get to participate as part of the live studio audience. And if you are following us on the Awaken Your Psychic Abilities Facebook group, it might be a good idea to also get connected on my YouTube channel, which is, I believe it's Dr. Leslie Phillips. I always forget exactly the name of it, which is very bad of me, isn't it? But is it Dr. Leslie Phillips, Corey? Or is
On
it...
YouTube?
Yeah.
Yes. I think it's just Leslie Phillips.
I think it is just Leslie Phillips, isn't it? LESLEYPHILLIPS. Okay, so welcome to tonight's show. I have no idea what I'm going to say. So this should be fun.
You don't know what you're going to say.
No. Well, so the title of tonight's show is it's about past lives, which we've talked about before, but not in a long time. And in particular, we said, how can my past life story affect my health and other life issues? So I guess the question is there a link between your health and well-being in the current lifetime that you're in now with things that have happened to you in a past life? So I would say there can be, but
That's it for the show.
Right, show over. There can be, but that is never more important or relevant than what is going on in the current life, right? So yes, we can have resonances with things that happened in a past life, but just seeing it solely from that perspective is not necessarily going to cure us from a health issue, because we also need to look at what's going on in this life as well. And often there's parallels between the two, and by learning about the past life, you can have an aha moment that really strikes a chord in the present life, which can allow you to release what's going on.
Sorry, that was the owl moment.
The owl moment.
Sorry, that was an owl moment I just had.
Yeah. So you are a multidimensional consciousness, and you create in multiple realities. So your higher being has many expressions. And from the perspective of your higher being, those many expressions are being created simultaneously. And there can be crossovers of theme and experience within those many different experiences or projections of consciousness. So, how can we talk about this from the perspective of you in your current lifetime?
Well, let's start with how many How many people do you think are affected by past lives in this life?
How many people?
Yeah. What percentage of people do you think have past lives affect their current life?
I have no idea.
You don't?
No. Well, that's just a funny question. That's just a funny way of framing it and a funny way of looking at it, really.
Do you think, okay, let me rephrase that. Do you think most people have past lives that, okay, do you think most people have had past lives?
Everyone has, okay, what we call a past life, yes. Let's keep it simple. Yes. But not to take it off topic, sometimes I do encounter people who haven't had past lives or other lifetimes on this planet.
Ooh.
But that's a rarity. So in the thousands of past life readings that I've done over the years, it's very rare that I've seen someone that is, oh, you've never been on this planet before. And I would also say, of the, I don't know, thousands of healings that I've done, or medical intuition sessions that I've done for people, it's fairly common, it's relatively common, that when we're looking at some kind of health problem, that there could be a past life that shows up. So let's make up an example. Let's say somebody comes with an ankle problem. And that ankle problem in this lifetime might be related to fear of moving forward in life. And it might have, let's say it cropped up because they had an injury when they were a student that coincided with them being afraid of their, what they were going to move into in their future. And they come for a reading to look at this ankle injury that's been bothering them for years and years and years and years and years. So then we might see, oh, okay, when did you do this? Oh, okay, it was when you were at university and you were worried for your future. And that's when you, injured your ankle. At the same time, we might see that there was like a past life where they lost their foot, and it literally stopped them moving forward in life, or a past life where they had a battle wound in the same place. So I would say that it's fairly common to get those kinds of things coming up in readings, and that from the soul's perspective, there's a theme being explored and being expressed through similar incidences and events across multiple lifetimes. Can we say that the event in the past life caused the illness in the current life? Not necessarily, but we can say that they're related, and that the past life can give useful information that can help the person understand and move on from how it's affecting them in the current life. There could be a direct link, I suppose, that's not impossible, between one incarnation and another incarnation. It depends on, again, which way we look at it, right? Whether we're looking at it in a linear way or whether we're looking at it from the soul's perspective. So go ahead.
I know, I think past lives per se, the topic itself is a very, it's one of the top, as far as interesting, interest is one of the top topics that we talk about in the metaphysical community. And a lot of people don't understand that, how, don't understand that there is actually a link, in essence, in a lot of cases, between past lives and present lives. And that, like you were saying about the foot, it's something that's not necessarily a common knowledge. And I think most people, when they look at it from the past love perspective, like a soulmate thing. That like, was she a soul? Was she with me in a past life type thing?
Yeah. Well, it's fairly common for people to be curious about people they're involved with in relationships in the current lifetime, to know that they have known them in other lifetimes. And that's often sort of precipitated by sometimes when you meet somebody for the first time and you feel a really, really close connection with them that just can't be explained. And so you wonder, oh, did I know this person in a past life? The other thing that I would say about a past life reading, or at least the way I do them, is that, I mean, my interest is helping people with their evolution, with their spiritual growth. And so I always want to link the past life with the present life. So if somebody comes to me, I'll always look at the present life growth cycle. And then, unless they direct me otherwise, we bring up lifetimes that are directly relevant to the current life. And what comes up is events within those past lives that are directly relevant and resonate with things that are going on in that person's current life. Because people can have thousands of past lives and thousands, if not millions, of events within each of those past lives. So you could think of it like a giant Rubik's Cube. So when somebody comes for a past life reading, we're tuning in to them, and then that Rubik's Cube is arranging itself so that we pick up on the things that are closer in resonance and experience to what that person's going through now. Because we could choose so many other things that would be completely irrelevant from past lives that they had experienced. But apart from being entertained by those, what is the point? So the point is to help that person in their soul evolution by making them aware of past lifetimes that directly resonate with what they're going through in the current lifetime, that help them grow, develop further understanding about themselves and about themselves in the current life. So of course, that sometimes people come and they ask to just specifically look at lifetimes with certain people that they know. And sometimes people come and they say, I've always had a curiosity about Egypt, or I've always had a curiosity about World War II, or I think I was a fighter pilot that got shot down. Sometimes they come and they're looking for validation of a feeling that they've already got, in which case we can home in on those specific things that they're asking about. Or sometimes they might have an unexplained illness and they might say, I've tried everything and I've been to my doctor and I've been to energy healers and I've done this and I've done that, and I really don't know what it is. So all I'm left with is wondering if this is to do with a past lifetime. So sometimes people come with a directive of what they're wanting. And other times it's just open. And when it's open, then what comes up is something that's going to help them. If that makes sense.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
I saw that you wrote in your sort of show notes, can past life karma catch up with you? And I don't really like the word karma. I think it's very related to the idea of cause and effect and the law of attraction, really, which is, I don't really see too much of a distinction. But what I would say about that question is that, you know, we always say, well, you create your reality by the energy that you are. And so what shows up for you in your life is exactly what you're putting out energetically. And so people can build up a kind of momentum in terms of where their life is taking them, where their energy is going, and that can continue on into the next iteration of that aspect of the soul after they pass on from this life. So the momentum you build in this life can propel you into another lifetime experience that is driven from the momentum that you built here. Equally possible for you to consciously create your next lifetime by taking control of that energy and consciously directing energy towards what it is that you would like to create for yourself. So again, we say you're creating consciously or unconsciously. You're taking charge of your life or you're not. And that idea continues on to what you go on to create after you've completed this lifetime. Oh, and here I see you also asked a question, should you seek a past life healing? So that's a good thing. Like, what is a past life healing? So, and I might be about to, what's the word?
Go for a break?
Oh, yeah, okay, I might be about to go for a break, am I? If I am, we can.
Yeah, we're at that time. So
Okay, so I'll do that when we get back from the break. Welcome back, listeners, to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie. We're talking about past lives, and we're talking about past lives in the context of health and healing. And so one of the questions was, should you seek a past life healing? Or when should you seek a past life healing? So I was saying sometimes people have some kind of a health problem and they don't seem to be able to find a solution. You know, they've tried a bunch of things. And so they wonder, is this caused by a past life? And or you might even have an inclination that it has to do with a past life. So, and what is a past life healing and what happens in a past life healing? So one of the things that we might do is, if you have energy from a past life that is, what should we say? I can't think of the word, but if you've got energy from a past life that is here and now in your system, resonating as an energy configuration in your system, then one of the things that we can do is we can bring that into present time, and we can de-energize that and neutralize the energy. We can dissolve the energy, or we can move the energy back into your past life energy field. So you have what's called a past life aura, where all of the information of your past lives that are, related to you in this life is stored. So from your perspective in this life, you have a past life aura, which is where you can draw on information and wisdom and experiences from your past lives. But if that energy has, I guess, leaked through into this energy field and is having an impact in how you're creating in this lifetime, we can pop it back where it belongs, and we can what I call, like, bring it into present time, so that you're not carrying that past time energy, and help you release it from your system. As I was saying at the beginning of the show, perhaps not so eloquently as I would have liked, that it kind of wouldn't be there if there wasn't some kind of purpose to it or relevance to it that resonates with the current life as well. So I feel like there's always something to learn in the current life. It's not just like, oh, I'm a victim of a past life that is now afflicting me. That it wouldn't be here and present now in your energy field now if it didn't relate to something that was relevant in this lifetime. I hope I'm making sense.
Yes, you are.
That's good. That's good. So and another thing you wrote there is like, how can my past life story affect my current life? What did you mean by that question?
Well, that's what you've been talking about. I mean, whatever your past life was, the story, your life story, how does it affect your life today? But you said something that interests me, that I've never really tuned into before, and that's taking the energy that from your past life that's affecting your life today and putting it back in your past life.
Well, and so here's the thing, and this is just our, we're using our intellect again, but because it's never left the past life either.
No, it has. No,
Right.
I understand that. Yeah.
But it's like, you are an infinite being with infinite energy, infinite experiences, infinite aspects and projections of consciousness. And this one that you are being has a certain allocation of your energy that's relevant to it, that belongs here and now. And so, but sometimes we are having those multidimensional aspects. And this is not the right way of saying it, but I can't think of another way of saying it because I'm a bit tired. Leak through. That's not the right way of saying it. But, and so maybe another way of saying it is this. If you think about other people that you know, and sometimes you have things in common with them, you resonate with an experience that they're having, you empathize with it or you sympathize with it. And then as an empath or a sympathizer, you blend and merge energy with that other person and their problem, and you take it into yourself. That's a common thing that people do, Well, that's just another aspect of divine source energy, that other person. And so is your past life. It's just another aspect of divine source energy. And because you are resonating or empathizing or sympathizing in resonance with a similar experience, then it's possible for that to be drawn into your space. So it's a very similar mechanism to when we match energy with other people that we, know on a physical level. We've done shows, haven't we, where we talk about empaths and being an empath, and the classic empath thing is, well, why am I always absorbing everyone else's energy? And it's because there's something within you that's matching that. And so, yeah, and the same thing with these past lives. Well, why have I got my past life in my space? Because there's something in you that's matching with that. And there's this other aspect, right? You're resonating with them. And there's an energy exchange that's happening, or an energy crossover that's happening. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. You know, it's interesting because when I think when most people talk about past life readings, they're talking about who was I in a past life? You know, tell me who I was. You know, I want to know. I want to know if I was if I was a Wright brother or Jesus or
I tell you how
Cleopatra.
many, if I told you how many people that came to me thinking they were Jesus.
Yeah,
I've had lots of people. It's very interesting, but and I shouldn't laugh, but
no,
because
it's not. We're not laughing from humor. We're
no,
laughing from.
you believe they were Jesus, but yeah, well, so here's the thing. Whoever you were in a past life or believe you were in a past life, you are not that person now. You're a completely different person. So it's possible for people to get their ego hooked into a past life if they find out, oh, I was, so and so a person, and then we can show up in this life and go, oh, yes, well, I was such and such in a past life. And that means, you should revere me in this life. And absolutely not, because you're not the same person. You're a completely different personality, a completely different life story. And so, we all have many different creations, some of which are, amazing, and some of which, we've all been on the dark and the light of all of it, really. So, but I'll tell you, it is possible to explore your all of your past lives and draw from their wisdom. So, for example, the last time I wanted to write a book, I said, let me find some of my past lives where I was an accomplished writer. And then I went into my past life Akashic record, and I identified 3 past lives where I was an accomplished writer. And then I deliberately brought that past life energy into this life. So on the one hand, we've just been talking about accidentally, and it's not helping me, but we can do it deliberately and use it in a positive way. So one of my past lives is that came up at that time was Pliny the Elder, which is an ancient Roman general who was alive at the time of Pompeii, and he died at Pompeii, which was interesting to me because I'd always been fascinated by Pompeii as a child, actually. But he has written the world's first encyclopedia, a whole, litany of writings about everything at the time, history, biology, astronomy, astrology, blah, 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 blah. And so I said, well, let me draw from that. Let me draw from that energy of that writer. And does that mean that's who I am now? No. But it is an energy that's part of my oversoul that I can benefit from and draw from and share in. And, like I name dropped, didn't I, a famous past life of mine, but there's thousands of them that nobody's ever heard of as well. And, over the years, like I said, I've read thousands. I've probably read over 10,000 past lives. And, over those many past life readings, I have had a few ones that can be verified or that were famous people. So but most of the time it's not something that you can verify or hang your hat on and say, oh, who I was. I've had a few that were painters famous artists. I've had a lady that was Charlie Chaplin, and that was one of the funniest ones because I was seeing Charlie Chaplin, and I said, okay, well, this is really funny, but I'm seeing Charlie Chaplin. And she rolled up her sleeve and she had a tattoo of Charlie Chaplin. And she said, I don't know why I did that. I just wanted to put Charlie Chaplin on my arm, and there's no reason for it. I just did it. And she had just done it as a sort of, I don't know, unconscious thing or strange desire that came up within her. And, and then it turned out there was a past life reason why she did that. I had another lady that was a professor in, I think it was MIT or somewhere like that, a physics professor. And I was able to give her the name, the first name, which is a very rare thing. And then she went and did some research and she actually found him. So sometimes it does happen. But even then, when it happens, there's something within that life that is of learning and benefit to the person to hear about it. I had another one that was a good one was I had a chap write to me and he said, who was I in a past life? And normally I don't respond to that because that's somebody, playing a prove it game. But this particular person, I saw straight away, well, you were Albert Einstein. So I wrote back, you were Albert Einstein. And he was like, what? And then he sent me all of these writings that he was doing as the progressive works of Albert Einstein, feeling that he was the reincarnation of Albert Einstein. So some funny things have happened over the years, when it comes to that.
Yeah. How can, and I know we've discussed, I think this tangents onto something else we discussed a couple of weeks ago, but I'm sure you've had different people be the same person in a past life.
I've had about 4 people who believe that they were Jesus. And I'm very careful not to invalidate anybody if that's their belief. And there's always useful information that can be mined from that story that's relevant to the person and the experiences that were had by that entity or that being when they went going through that, life and crucifixion. And so sometimes it's because we're resonating with the story or the archetype, or we're going through something similar to that character that is a presence within our collective memory or consciousness.
But if like I said, I think it tangents onto other things. If 2 people on the earth can be soulmates, and I don't mean like
I see where you're going with this. I guess I have met 2 people who were parallel lives of each other on a couple of occasions. Once it was when I was in my psychic training and it was a married couple. And once it was a lady came from a reading and I sort of knew her a little bit. And, sometimes when you feel like there's some kind of bond or connection, which I think we both felt. And I did a past life reading for her. And I realized I was reading my own childhood. And I realized that she was another incarnation of my father. So she was my father's parallel life. So that was a bit of an interesting, mind-boggling one. So I think that's
Mind-boggling.
yeah, quite different than my dad. But very interesting. It was the same soul. It was the same energy projected into a different personality. But that experience of my childhood and me being her daughter, and is part of her Akashic record, because my father is a different version of her from the same soul.
Well, Dr. Leslie, it's time for another break. So we'll be back with Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie in a few moments.
Okay, sounds good. Welcome back to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey.
Hello.
And tonight we're just casually chatting about past lives.
And we have some questions for you, which is exciting.
Oh, good. That's good.
And they're not my questions.
Oh, your questions were welcome tonight, because
oh, they were they? And this is from Brian. Brian says, what about other things in past lives that could possibly affect or influence our current life? Like for the instance, if maybe we have some connection to the Titanic. I'm not sure if I did in a past life, but I admit I feel a strong connection to the ship for whatever reason. I can't deny a vibrational resonance with the ship. And the Titanic exists in my current timeline life, and I'm aware of it. What kind of influence can that have? Does it continue to help us grow and evolve?
well, I mean, if I think about my example, where my parallel example to you is Pompeii. I was always fascinated by Pompeii. And then I found out that I did have a past life at that time where I died in the volcanic eruption. And so I think one of the things that type of experience does is it validates there's more than meets the eye, doesn't it? It's like, why do I have that deep feeling and that deep resonance? So sometimes it can just be to help you understand the nature of things, to help you understand the multidimensional nature of things, to help you understand there's more to you than what you might currently be aware of, that life exists beyond you. Life for you exists beyond you. Those kinds of things. I often wonder, and I'm sure that this has happened, sometimes when you think about actors and actresses and they're playing a historic character, whether the same soul represents one of their past lives. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's a case by case basis, Brian. What's the purpose of you having this feeling of resonance with a particular past timeline that you weren't alive for, but is known about today? I would just say explore it. I sometimes Google things about Pompeii, or if they've got a different discovery about Pompeii, it fascinates me to find out about life there. So it might be the same thing with you for the Titanic.
The smell of lava brings her back to actually, I'm just going to break out of sequence here for a moment. Zachary says Pompeii for me too has high interest, and Lorraine says, May says, I have seen a lifetime in Pompeii, and if that is true, she wants to ask a question about it. I'll leave it for now then. So this is from Amber. Amber says, can you explain more about how you measure present life growth cycle? I have experienced this can be observed in a short linear period, X a few months from one to the other.
Can you read that again? You read the first part a bit quickly. I didn't catch it properly.
Okay. I shall do that. Can you explain more about how you measure present life growth cycle? I have experienced this. uh, can be observed. I have experiences can be observed in a short linear period. Example, a few months from one to the other.
Okay, so I teach people how to read growth cycles
Oh,
in my clairvoyance course, in my medical intuition course, that kind of thing. And so we have like reading frameworks, because you said, how do you measure the growth cycle? Not sure if that's exactly what you're meaning, but, and then you said you've absorbed a short linear period. The thing is, a growth cycle can last a minute or a lifetime. You know, it can be something that is a rapid progression and a rapid shift and a rapid change, or it could be something that is happening more slowly. And in any lifetime, we have multiple growth cycles. And at any one time in any lifetime, we can be going through multiple growth cycles that relate to different aspects of our lives. So a growth cycle is simply a change that you make as spirit, which happens instantly, being integrated into the body, which happens over time. And so if you're in resistance to a growth cycle, it might be more uncomfortable, it might take longer. If you are consciously aware of it and all for it, then, you know, it might happen more quickly. There are growth cycles that happen on a mass consciousness level, when there's big energetic shifts on the planet, where we're all kind of sharing and joining in our own version of it. There are growth cycles that are specific and unique to you. So, you know, how do you measure a growth cycle? It's like, it's like, how long is a piece of string? It's as long as it is. It's, you know, so every growth cycle is unique, but your growth cycle might go through various stages. You know, you're at the beginning, you know, you're working your way through it. I don't know, you hit some resistance, then you open some more and evolve some more until eventually you move on from it. Hopefully that gives you a bit of information, Amber. Thank you for the question.
yes, thank you. And Brian just commented that that makes sense about multidimensionality and more to life. There's definitely more to the Titanic than meets the eye. I'm exploring that now. Okay, this is from Katie. Katie says, Dr. Leslie, I'd love if you could tune into one of my past lives as it relates to my current growth cycle and give just a snapshot for me, please. So I'm so curious and look forward to meditating on it. Thank you.
Okay. Before I do that, I just want to make one more comment to Brian's comment.
Okay. Comment on the comment from the comment. Yes.
I think these historical events take on a life of their own in our consciousness. And they even evolve in themselves in the patterning of that event in our mass consciousness. And so it's almost like a living creature in its own right. So when you're talking about there's more to it and there's more depth to plummet, there's also an evolving storyline, an evolving substance, and it becomes a co-creation between, it's like the story of that event and how our consciousness interacts with it. So it's not just this static thing that happened at a point in time and that's it, and that's the content of it. It's a growing, changing thing. I mean, if you take, like we were talking before, like the story of Jesus, that also is not just this static thing, well, here's the historical record, boom, that's it. It's something that is ingrained in our mass consciousness that millions of people interact with on a daily basis. And so it is an evolving creature or energy in its own right. Okay, so Katie wants a past life reading. I prefer, I do try in the shows to not give personal readings and to answer questions that are relevant to everybody, that everybody can learn from. You can book a past life reading with me. People, if you want a past life reading, I'll see very quickly if something comes up, Katie. But I am, in fact, it's been a very long day and I've done loads of readings today. So, but let's see what comes up. I'm seeing a past life that's about a quarter of the way down your past life timeline. And the symbol that comes up to represent the past life is a steam locomotive. And it feels like this is at the dawning of the steam age. I think they called it the steam age. I'm seeing you be a child, a girl, a little girl with blonde hair. I think it may very well be in England. And you're taking a journey on the train across the country. And I feel like you're actually going to the seaside and you've got your little suitcase. And this is an amazing thing. It is a mind-blowing thing at the time to be able to take this trip in this way and to be able to get somewhere with a relative level of ease and speed, because the alternate way of getting there would take a lot longer. And so I'm seeing, all the adults around you there, I don't know, pontificating and intellectualizing and fascinated by the technology of it. You're just excited and open-minded and taking it all in and taking in the scenery. And when you get to looks like you're going somewhere like the seaside, and very excited to be there. And it just feels like it's a story about change and how we approach change. And we can come at it like a child, so open and excited and not fazed by it. We can come at it and intellectualize it to death and make it so much less exciting than it is to experience, which is often what adults do. And so it feels like that this is coming up as a way of helping you to frame reality and to perceive and a way of perceiving the changes in your life. So it feels like there are some changes happening or changes coming in the current life. And you could fear the change. I'm sure some people wouldn't get on a steam train when they first invented them because it was like a frightening fire-breathing dragon and evil from the devil. Some people, just approached it in a very intellectual way. And, and maybe the kids just were like amazed and excited. So it's like you have a choice of how you perceive your reality. You're the one that puts the meaning into your story by the way that you perceive it. There is a saying, I can't remember whether it was the Buddha who said this, somebody famous and well known, that said life has no meaning apart from the meaning that you give it. So that's the moral of that past life story.
I know somebody used to use that quite often, actually, but we won't bring up his name here. This is from Lorraine. Thank you, Dr. Leslie. This is from Lorraine. Lorraine says, does our energy remain the same in all past lives?
That's a good question, Lorraine. So you have a core energy signature or frequency. that we could say is the frequency of your higher being or your soul. So when I do a past life reading, sometimes there's a bunch of different characters that show up on my screen, and I'm trying to find out, well, who is the one I'm reading? Who are they in this? And I do it by the core frequency. I can recognize the core frequency and go, oh, that's them, because it's the same core frequency. So on the one hand, there is a common core frequency, unique vibration. On the other hand, there is also the vibration of what you're doing with that lifetime. So there's the personality that you wear, which is unique and different each lifetime. And there's also the other energy that you wear. You could have a lifetime where you could create a bunch of trauma for yourself and stick that all over yourself and have a low vibration. And so, you know, you've got your unique energy signature trying to shine through a bunch of baggage. Or you could have another lifetime where it's a tremendous spiritual growth, and that's a different expression of you that then comes through. So I'd say there's like a core energy frequency that is you, but your personality, your belief systems, your catalog of life experiences are all different, that go together to make another recipe, which is unique each time. Hopefully that makes sense.
Thank you. We have one more question. I'm not sure if we have enough time for it, but this is for May. May says, I've seen a lifetime in Pompeii, and if that is true, can you see if I knew a being named Mafu? M-A-F-U.
Mafu.
Mafu.
Okay, well, I don't know who that being is, but I'm seeing a yes to the lifetime in Pompeii, and I'm seeing a yes to the connection that you are resonating with. So I kept that one short.
Lorraine says, thank you. That makes complete sense. I understand my ex now. Okay, Dr. Leslie, it's a little early, but I'm sure you have some words of wisdom for us.
There's a comment from Katie that says that was spot on.
Oh, yes.
Just seeing on my
there are some. Katie says that was spot on. Also, Brian has a comment on your comment on his reading, and it says, amazing, you just perfectly explained what I'm picking up on, how it all relates. Thank you so much for commenting on my comment.
Thank you for commenting on my comment. Do your comment.
Oh, well, and that's another week, Dr. Leslie.
Yeah, and I just want to emphasize, you know, how Katie was saying that it was spot on, because you know, it's just an example. I mean, maybe we can read it out. I can't see it because I've got some overlay on it, but it says, thank you so much for the personal reading. It was spot on.
I feel like that little girl right now. Lots of changes, and I'm so excited.
And the reason I wanted to say that is because it's an example of what I was talking about earlier. The past life information, although it's completely different circumstances and different person, the quality of what was going on resonates with her, who she is now. And that's the way a past life reading can be helpful to somebody.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent.
Great. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you next week.
Yes, we will.
Another exciting episode. I'll try and keep my day less busy so I come more refreshed.
Yeah, you did have a busy day today.
I did. I had a very busy.
I noticed that you're completely booked. Anyway, thank you very much. We have to get going. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.